So today, we got a special edition of Chopping It Up with Buck. Usually we talk about what we're going to do next time. Well, this time, if the weather holds off, we're going to have a cigar with my man, the legend, the myth, from University of Texas by way of Cleveland Browns, San Diego Chargers, the Arizona Cardinals, but everybody kind of remembers you from the Cleveland Browns, right?
I was about to say, you don't have to mention all
yeah. Hey, no, but you make plays everywhere. My man, Eric Metcalf, has decided to join me, and he's a big cigar guy, so I had to come outside with the Partagas and a little bit of Elijah Craig.
Okay.
Welcome to the show, Chopping It Up, Eric. How you doing?
I'm going to go with a Monte Cristo.
Ooh.
And a little Abalor.
Ah, I got it. Yeah. Well, man, we've been talking about doing this for a while. I check you out on social media. I've known you for a long time. I was in camp in Cleveland for a year, got the hell out of there after they cut me and ended up playing 4 years. You had a great career there. But I think we go back before that. Played with a lot of guys at the University of Texas that I knew. And I always tell people, when I call games, I have this vision in my head, and I'll call it the Bayou ability. Guys that get by you, a guy that can go in a walk-in closet and get out with all his clothes on, with 11 people in the closet.
Right.
That vision comes from you. Tell us about that, because you make a lot of people miss in your life, and I think guys are still trying to tackle you to this day.
Hey, man, if you the real of it is from the day I started playing football, and I love playing football. My dad played in the NFL, and so I wanted to be like him. But from the day I started playing football, I knew in my mind I did not want to get hit. so you know, and people like, he don't want to get hit. He's scared to get hit. You're damn right. I don't want to get hit. I don't think that's cool to get hit. So in my mind, I was thinking, what could I do to make these guys miss? I mean, obviously I had God-given ability and some natural talent from genetics and all that, and I was faster than most guys, especially younger and all that. So it just came naturally, and I felt like if I got touched, something went wrong. And so I really pride myself on making dudes miss, because I think that's better than running someone over, leaving someone with their face in the dirt. And so that's all I wanted to do from the time I was a kid and through the NFL.
Now, it's interesting you bring that up about your dad. Your dad was a great player in his own right. And I know, Terry Metcalf's name goes a long way back, I think, with the St. Louis Cardinals. Did he also play with the Washington Redskins as well? But his ability to make people miss and the speed, you talk about even from a young age, he was the one that kind of showed you the way and gave you the understanding of how to play the game, but also really played a big role in track and field in your life. Well,
what's funny is that, especially when I was young, my dad never really talked to me about football and what I did on the field. He always wanted me to go out there and kind of learn for myself. I mean, there were little pointers he would give me, but he would say, you should do this, you should try this or that, just because he always felt like that's what fathers who are trying to live through their sons do. And he just wanted me to go out there and experience myself. And he didn't tell me till I was a grown man that he knew early in my life that I was going to play in the NFL. He kept that. But I just watched film, and I got a idea of what was going on. So I think me being in the NFL is kind of like a second life. You know what I mean? I got a chance to see it through my dad's eyes, watch film with him, things like that. Even when he played in Toronto, in between the Cardinals and the Redskins, I would go to camp. I'd have my own locker. I'd sit up and watch film. I had a uniform and everything. So I would go through everything that they went through as a 10, 11-year-old kid. And so I got to go through that early, which obviously is something that a lot of players don't have that ability to do, and I'm appreciative of it. And when you're talking about track, it was another thing that my dad did. And so I was pretty good at it, and I long jumped, and so I kind of used it, knowing that I was good. I used it in college for sure, because I did not want to play in spring ball. I just didn't see. I didn't see the point of it.
Who wants to go through?
I mean, who wants to go through wrong? I'm like, I can go over here and I'll take the chance that I'm not going to start or I'm going to have to back somebody up. But I'm going out here and launch up. You guys can have that 6 a.m. lifting weights and all that. I'm going to travel around, go to track meets and see pretty girls and track.
And we know about the Texas Relays, being from Houston. If you don't know, you got to go. If you've never been there, it's an awesome experience. But you talk about your dad, and every guy that I know that has had the experience of having a father that played in the league or been close to the league has talked about that. You were able to be in the locker room. You were able to, be around these guys. What was, besides your dad talking to you, who else played a role in those locker rooms in Toronto that just, made you think, I want to do that. I know I can do that.
Well, I mean, it's just from everywhere, even Redskins and Cardinals. It's just, there's always guys that when a player brings his kid in, they like bring him in. Like this is our guy. He's a part of us. And so there were so many guys talking to me about staying on the straight and narrow, of course. Then don't do drugs, the basic stuff. But then there are guys who are just talking about the football life and are you sure you want to do it? This is what we do every day. Is it something that you like as far as these meetings and watching film and stuff like that? Because like being in Toronto and practicing with those guys, they could see that I had talent and ability. It's just mentally, are you ready to do all this kind of stuff? And they used to talk to me about that, and I was like, oh yeah, this is my life. This is what I'm going to do. That's why I started practicing my signature at an early age.
Well, it's interesting. Your dad was with the Redskins. Your mom was in Seattle. So you went to high school early on in Seattle and then Washington, or was it the reverse?
Yeah, Seattle first. I grew up in Seattle. I went to O'Day High here in Seattle for 1 year. And then I moved to Virginia when my dad finished with the Redskins for my last 3. And it didn't have to be that way. I would have stayed in Seattle if the varsity coach would let me play varsity football as a freshman. They had a thing. They wouldn't let freshmen play. And, I mean, I was 13 years old. I was a young dude, and I was small. I was 5'2", and I was 13 years old as a freshman. And they wouldn't let me play, but I thought I could convince them to let me play. Yeah. It never happened. So I ended up playing freshman ball, which I only played 5 games against 3 teams, which really upset me because of my age. I could have played Little League with my friends again and still got 11 games and won another championship. And so when they didn't let me play, they wouldn't even let me play JV. Wow. I told them, I promise you I won't be here next year. I'm out. Because my goal, even as a youngster, was to somehow play football in the South. And at that time, I didn't think I'd be able to really get to the South from Washington anyway,
Yeah. So, it's not like now where people are going all over the country. Yeah.
And you can see people because of videos and everything. And everything. But so I said, I figured if I go live with my dad in Virginia, I have a greater chance to not only being with him and going through that part of it and him being able to coach me through it. That was my thinking, coach me through the whole process, but just being closer to Southern schools. And so that's why I left, and it worked out.
Yeah, and he didn't coach your position, which I thought was interesting. He gave you to somebody else, even though he could see everything that was going on, right?
Hey, there's only one time my dad really spoke up about me on the football field in practice to the coaches out, and they were trying to put me on the punt rush on the line.
Oh wow!
and my dad was like, "No, you're not doing that. He was like, we're not having that. They're gonna try to kill him out there. They're gonna try to hurt him. Right? No, you're not doing that. Yeah. Not let them do it."
Well, he knew, being a punt returner himself and a guy that was having to play special teams, he knew the difference of where you needed to be. Right. It's interesting you talk about your dad and not really coaching you much, but you were going to Miami. You wanted to go to the Hurricanes. and you had committed there, you were excited. He didn't go on that trip with you. But when you guys went down to the Texas A&M game, which is huge, even though those cats don't play, and that's a whole nother subject we can get into, he told those Texas coaches after A&M kicked their butt, y'all need Eric.
How do you know all that?
Man, I do my research, man. I do my research. And I love that story. Tell us about that, and tell us about your changing from Miami to the University of Texas.
First we'll start with my dad on the visit. And it was weird because it was actually during the game that he said it. They were getting drugged from start to finish. And so I was standing next to Ken Daz, who was the director of recruiting at the time, and my dad just looked at him and said, "Oh, y'all need my son." And then I was, and that's how it was. And I looked at him like, "Oh, he must think I'm kind of good," even though he's never really told me.
Yeah, he knew, but he wasn't gonna tell you, so your head
And so, and I love to visit at Texas. Obviously, I end up going there, but I think going to Miami on a visit at 17 years old, I wouldn't even turn 18 until the next year, January. Within 2 hours of the trip, I committed. And I'm like, I'm in. I'm good. This is where I want to be. I can do this. I can make this happen. And it was funny because even going there, their track program wasn't very good. So I would kind of be giving up track to go there. And I was like, having so much fun. I'm like, yeah, I'm in. I can do that. I can do, because football was my thing anyway. My mom and dad, they weren't having it. They're not having a 17-year-old kid go down to Coral Gables and be on an episode or two of the U, acting a fool. And so then I told them I won't go to Miami. But I didn't tell Miami till signing day. I'm not going there. But I told my parents I won't go to Miami, but I'm not going to Notre Dame, because that's where they wanted me to go. I've been going to Catholic school my entire life, and I was like, I can't do that. And then thinking about it, I was like, track still needs to be a part of this, and who wants to be indoors running track in Indiana or something like? So I wasn't really. Even though it was a great program, it wasn't for me, and so I opened up recruiting again. And so I didn't sign until like 8 days later. And so coaches started coming back to visit me, and I don't know where they got scholarships at that time, a week later, but
back in the day, somebody got it pulled.
But Coach Akers came in, and he flew in. He was like, "We want you to come." And I was like, "Okay, I'm in. I can do this." That was my at the time.
Wow, that's cool. Well, we're going to take a short break and be right back. We're chopping it up with Buck. We'll be right back with Eric Metcalf.
Many people are looking for natural alternatives to help ease their aches and pains. Begin stopping the pain with the help of Pain Stopper. Formulated by healthcare providers, Pain Stopper helps alleviate a variety of physical ailments so you can get back to doing what you love. Our products are triple independently lab tested to ensure the highest quality hemp available. Visit PainStopCBD.com for more information. Pain Stopper, because why manage pain when you can stop it?
At Heslop Wealth Advisors, our goal is to help small businesses develop quality retirement plans for their employees through our Lunch and Learn seminars. We provide lunch and learning tools to help your company succeed and unmatched customer service.
We're back with Chopping It Up with Buck. I've got my man Eric Metcalf, and we were talking about University of Texas. It's interesting you went there. Kerry Cash, who I played with in Indy, the Cash twins were there, Johnny Walker. I didn't like Fred Akers. Akers, I like Tommy Rayo a lot, and they almost had me. But for some reason, I was able to get out west, and I would have either went to Texas or Texas A&M if I'd stayed in Texas. But you had a great experience there. 87, you were the Southwest Conference Player of the Year. You ran track. I'll say it again. If you have never been to the Texas Relays, I will guarantee you South by Southwest is cool, ACL, Austin City Limits is cool, but the Texas relays, off the chain. You got to do it if you've never done it. Eric can attest to it too. Pin relays are great. All of them. Yeah. But even if you don't like track, exactly. But what was it like playing on the 40 acres? I mean, everybody talks about being a Texas player. I got Brian Jones coming up in the next few weeks. He told me to tell you hello, you guys. He left UCLA to go to the University of Texas. Tell us about Texas and that experience of playing ball there.
I mean, I think it's a wonderful experience, and of course, Google, a great amount of tradition and everything that comes with being there. I mean, and so it was fun. It was just like I expected it to be, playing big time football. Other than we didn't win very many games. Yeah. So that's the tough part. I mean, the way these guys, not in the last few years, but like Vince and those guys during that time, I can't even imagine.
Oh man,
what that would feel like to be the star at Texas. Because I mean, I won 24 games in college in 4 years. 24 games. Okay. It's not very many, and especially not supposed to be one of the top Power 5 schools in the country, right? In football, and so the experience was great. I would choose Texas all over again. I would just hope to win more games because that would make it even more fun for me.
Yeah, and I mean, even in that conference, you were making people miss. I think guys were always talking about not being able to tackle you. Who was able to tackle you? Was there anybody that you said, okay, I got to watch this cat because he always seems to come up and find me, and I think I can get away from it, whether it was college or the pros even. Anybody that stands out? I know you hate it when people pulled your socks down because you wanted to take pictures.
I need to be ready. I think I'd have to say when it came down to it, it's more like two team defenses in Texas and Oklahoma, who I felt like they pretty much were able to corral me, and it's just basically because their teams were better than ours. I mean, I still got loose. Yeah. I still got loose against A&M one time for a big run, but for the most part, we knew that those two games, which were our rivalry games, were going to be tough, and they were going to be coming every play because of the hatred. And I have to admit it that my freshman year, Boz got me good.
the Boz, how did he get you, man? How did he catch you slipping?
Good. And because we were running a draw, and he was blitzing at the same time.
Oh, so you happy you didn't know where to go.
I was delaying. By the time I got the handoff, he was already there. Bam, got him.
And Boz he was on that defense. They had some guys, not just him, but Ricky Dixon was on that defense. They had so many NFL guys. Yeah, we played in my freshman year in LA, and I can attest to what you're saying. That defense
they were good. In fact, they won the national championship. And so
they sure did.
They were good, but even still, I knew playing against those guys. Oh yeah, I'm going to the NFL because I can make these. I can do these. This is one of the best defenses in the country. This is gonna be fun.
Well, you talk about that. So you didn't have a win a lot of games at Texas, but you were able to get to the league. And tell us about that, getting drafted, because I told people this a lot, having spent time in camp with you, but also seeing you from a distance playing on other teams. I don't think coaches really knew how to use you as well as they should have, especially in the offensive game. Return-wise, I thought the return coaches always did a nice job with you. But Tom Luganville and I were talking about this, and then he said he talked to you with June Jones saying the same thing. If you had the things that they allow now and using you in space and doing some of those things, what would that have been like? And then what was your experience like in the league, even without having all those gadgets and plays designed for you? So, those jet sweeps and all the stuff they're doing now.
If I had what they do now, I'd say it over and over again. I'd be holding out.
Yeah.
Because I expect my 60-something, 70 million like Christian McCaffrey. Because I feel like if I played today, that's how I would be used. Because offenses are more free now. Back then it was 3 yards in the cloud of dust. We want a big back who can pound it up in there between the tackles, and that's not my style, as we know. And so that's just how football was played. And now,
but you know,
now it's changed and evolved.
I'll say this: you didn't complain about it. That's the one thing I never heard. I mean, 10 career punt return touchdowns, with the second in NFL history. The one thing that stood to me, I didn't even know this until I looked it up: 2,000 rush yards, 5,000 receiving yards, and 9,000 punt and kick return yards. You're the only player to ever do that. So what I like, and I think most guys, you were a great teammate with guys. You talked trash to them, you made them miss, but on game day, you came to play. And I think that's a testament to your ability. And you would run inside the tackles. I mean, I think some people will say, oh, he can't run inside the tackles. But I remember vividly them giving you plays and design to get you inside to use that speed.
You know, I think when they talk about people not being able to run out in between the tackles or being able to, when it comes down to it, it depends on those guys up front also, right? Because there have been a lot of smaller guys who've been able to run between the tackles if they have good lines. People who are creating holes. And I'm not saying our line was bad, but we weren't the kind of line that would just open up holes and I can just shoot through them all the time and be gone like some of these offenses do now, because they're spread out, and it makes it a lot easier. And so, you know, complaining, I did complain.
Everybody go complain.
But you know, I wasn't going to be disruptive to the point.
Exactly.
You know, because
maybe I should say malcontent. You weren't a malcontent. You know what I'm saying?
That's not professional. You know, like I said, I've seen it through my dad, and wanting to be in an organization or wanting to get out of an organization. I know how that goes, and so, you know, I always wanted the ball. I figured if I had the ball, that was obviously more opportunities for me to score. And so, like you said, during that time, all these so-called offensive geniuses didn't know how to do it. Right? And everybody's a genius or a guru, but no one knew how to do it. But these guys now, and I think the guys back in the day knew the same thing that these guys know. Just people are more free to do it. You know, they're more free to go empty sets. They're more free to have a smaller back and move him around and do things like that. And so it makes for an exciting game, and it makes for a game that I wish I could play in.
Yeah. I think the one thing, too, is when you got to Cleveland, who was the biggest influence on you there? Cleveland is a great place to play football. I'm not going to lie. The fans love you. It's just a good town for football, sports in general. But who was the biggest influence, of the guy that you got the closest to while you were in Cleveland?
Well, there was a bunch, but when I first got there, I held out, of course, and didn't go in until with one team game left. Mm-hmm. And so they were getting out of training camp, and so Reggie Langhorn took me in. Had me stay at his place. He said, you can stay at my place until you find somewhere to stay, which is kind of ironic, because when I came from minicamp after being drafted, he said he didn't like me. and the two people who I love dearly, who I talk to more than anybody from that team, is Reggie Langhorn and Kevin Mack. But both of those guys said they didn't like me when I first got there. It was cool because I was a first rounder and all that kind of stuff, but it wasn't that. I had to keep telling them it wasn't that. It was I expected to be there.
You know,
so
Reggie, I played with Reggie in Indy. Great guy, man. You know, I love his stories about Hampton Roads and Virginia, and I mean, he's a great storeteller.
I used to go down there and visit with him all the time. So,
I mean, he had great stories. The one story that sticks out to me, because whenever we play the Bills, he and Bruce would get together, and I'd go see them, and we'd go have wings or something like that. But, man, he would talk about Allen Iverson being able to – the things that he could play all sport. If he had played football, he would have been a Hall of Fame, you know, guy there if he had played basketball, any of those sports. So it's interesting to hear him talk about Allen Iverson and Pernell Whitaker. I don't know if he ever told you the story. He said he was telling Sweet Pea, you know, he could get with him. And he said – so they finally – you know, he kept messing with Sweet Pea. And finally Sweet Pea, he said he hit him 10 times before he got one – hit off. And he said, Reggie, I can't play football, so don't think you can come in here and box.
I remember because he introduced me to Sweet Pea at a fight one time, and Sweet Pea came to me and he was like, man, I need you to teach me how to be able to jump out the rope and back in real quick. I said, man, you can't do it. This ain't football, man. You just stay hitting people like he did, man. He was a great guy.
You had a great group of guys in Cleveland. What about, in Atlanta? You guys had a nice run in Atlanta. Tell us a little bit about the other experiences and teams that you were on, and any guys or team. The one game in Cleveland, before we go to that, though, the 2 touchdown punt returns against Pittsburgh. I don't know why they kicked to you again, but they did, and you were able to take it to the house. Tell us about that day and that game. It was a walk-off punt return touchdown, I think it was, right?
Kind of. It was like
something
to go, but it was foolish pride. Going into that game, I'm sure you heard that I wasn't even expected to play because I got banged up in the knee the week before, and so I didn't even practice until Friday because that was Bill's thing. If you don't practice on Friday, you can't play in the game. Well, okay, I'll practice, even if it's limping through those. I'll do it just to practice. But I didn't expect to play. Then Sunday game day, before the game, he comes to me, he's like, "How you feel?" I said, "Oh, I'm good. Yeah. I'm ready. I'm good." It's, even if nothing else, it's adrenaline because it's game day, so you're gonna feel good about it. And so, we had studied them on film. Even though they hadn't had any taken back on them, we felt like we could do it. We had the unit that could do it because we left a lot of the starting defense out there, and those guys who played hard. Yeah. And our starting defense was better than your guys coming in just to play special teams. So, we returned the first one, which was wonderful. And Stephon Moore comes to me and says, "We're gonna get another one." I'm like, "Yeah, okay, whatever." That never really happens. And lo and behold, with the game on the line, it happened. And it's something that I always cherish. Cleveland Browns fans love it. That's like the only thing I ever did there as far as they're concerned. And it's even funnier because that's not even my favorite game. They just make it my favorite game because that's all they ever talk about.
Yeah. That's wild. Hey, Eric, we're going to take a quick break. We'll come right back. Chopping it up with Buck. We'll be right back. Yeah.
Many people are looking for natural alternatives to help ease their aches and pains. Begin stopping the pain with the help of Pain Stopper. Formulated by healthcare providers, Pain Stopper helps alleviate a variety of physical ailments so you can get back to doing what you love. Our products are triple independently lab tested to ensure the highest quality hemp available. Visit PainStopCBD.com for more information. Pain Stopper, because why manage pain when you can stop it?
How you guys doing? It's Artavis Scott here.
Live it, Thin Energy.
The reason why I like Thin Energy is because I need to be at my peak performance no matter what I do. Big sports drink for me, keep it going, keeping myself up. It gets me on top of my game, extra boost that I need to keep it going in the fourth quarter. Working out, definitely a good drink for you to have. All the good nutrition that you need inside of it. Passion fruit, it's my favorite one. It's not just for professional athletes, it's for everyone. And I definitely can say it definitely works in the office or in the weight room, wherever you may be. You can go to thinenergy.com, tell them I sent you, and get you a drink. Thin Energy, the healthy alternative. Drink it, live it. See, when I got something like that, I can just go.
No sugar, no crash. Thin Energy.
All right, we're back with Chopping It Up with Buck. I've lit the Partagas, and I think Eric's got the Monte Cristo. Yeah. I know this COVID has got us doing a lot of stuff from home. We can't eat out. But in Seattle, man, where is a good spot when you are able to get out and eat? Where would you go and get some good bites?
I have a lot of places that I go, but the place I frequent the most is probably the Metropolitan Grill or Daniel's. Both steak places. And you can get steak anywhere, but for some reason, I think it's the atmosphere of them. Just going to be able to go hang out, not only eat, have a good meal, but be able to drink high-end drinks and things like that, and just have fun and chill. And so that's where I like to go.
Now, when you say that, everybody knows Seattle for the fish throwing place. Are there some good seafood restaurants that you like to go to besides the steakhouses?
See, which is even crazier because I go there and eat seafood.
Yeah, both of those places are good. I've been there too. Oh, yeah.
Because they probably their selection is probably the best. I go to what's it called? Now Aqua now. Okay. It's the El Gaucho restaurant, but it's down on Pier 70. Yeah. And so I go down there. There's a great atmosphere. Get some good seafood and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So getting back to the league, what was it tough when you had to walk away, when it was time to, say I'm going on to the next phase of my life? How was that for you?
It wasn't really that tough for me. First of all, when I walked away, really, it was my second time. Because I after playing in Carolina was at 99, I'm like, I'm not playing football. I'm not doing this anymore because I didn't play in 2000.
That's right. You were away for that year. That's right.
Yeah, I went away. So I was like, I'm done with this. And then 2001, the Raiders called me back, and that was Gruden, and asked me if I wanted to come play. I said, sure. So I started going to all-season program and all that. They asked me to gain weight. They wanted me to play 205, so I tried to do all that, and I was like, okay, I'll do that. But then during camp, I was like, I can't do this. I need to lose weight because I feel slow.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And so it didn't work out. The day before my signing bonus, not my signing bonus, my roster bonus, I got released.
Yeah. Go figure that.
and so, but then they were like, we're going to call you back. I was like, no, you're not.
I'm gone.
I'm out. And so then that's when the Redskins called me, week 7 or 8, whatever that was, and I went there and played. And I wasn't really trying to do that because when I went to visit the day, I told my agent, I'll go, but I took one change of clothes. I'm like, I'm going. I'm coming right back.
Yeah.
I went there and they signed me. I played, and that was it. But when I left finally after going back to Green Bay in 2002 for those couple games, which I only went there because I thought I could go to Super Bowl. Because they were like 13-2.
I hear, yeah.
They were like 13-2 when they signed me. But it would have been a good trip because for me it was like I wasn't signing and I was just going to be tagging on to go to the Super Bowl, right? Mm-hmm. I was thinking I'm going to sign here and they go to the Super Bowl. I'm returning punts.
Yeah. You'll have a chance.
I'm playing. So that's why I was willing to do it. If I thought I was just going to be standing around as an extra, I wouldn't even thought about it.
Yeah.
But then it didn't work out. Michael Vick came in through town and rolled us up real quick. First game they ever lost in Packer history in Green Bay in a playoff game. But when I left that time, I was like, I'm out. I'm not even going to try. I don't want to talk to nobody about it. And it was more so because I felt like I wasn't used like I wanted to be used. Mm-hmm. Now, everybody has their egos and we think we're good. And I think I'm good. I think I was great. But I wasn't used in the capacity that I felt I should be. And so moving from team to team, trying to find a niche, that just was old. And, to play for 6 teams, like getting traded twice, I hate that I have to say that, right?
Yeah. I think, it's interesting. We all have our own story about the game and how it treats you. Nobody seems to ever really walk away when they want to. Even the greats have all had some issues or, whatever. Right. But I tell people this all the time. I knew, and this was in Carolina. I came to work out for the Panthers, and Andre Reed and I were on the bus. I had a good workout, but my knee had been constantly hurting. I couldn't couldn't quite get healthy. And I'm on the bus with a box of Bojangles chicken. And I looked down at that chicken. I said, I'm done with this. I knew at that point I couldn't do it anymore.
Right.
You know, I was like, I'm done. And it's funny that I live here now in the Carolinas because of that. But I guess all things kind of are circular and they work the way they're supposed to work. So,
Yeah.
you know, thinking about that post-career, I know you coach track and field at the University of Washington. You've had a chance to do other things. What has been the most rewarding thing for you and the thing that has kept you going since you, finished playing football?
I think, I coached high school football at 2 high schools here, a couple years at each school. Coached at University of Washington for 7 years, track and field. But I think the thing that's given me the most satisfaction is when I started my track club, Seatown Express. And I actually started that in 1999 when I was still playing. Mm-hmm. But it was something that I did because everybody can't play football. Everybody's not getting a scholarship in football, as you well know. But I knew kids who were fast. And so I started an all-boys team on high schoolers because my goal was to get those guys to college on somebody else's dime.
Mm-hmm. I love it.
And I had enough track knowledge where I could help them. So we started out with like 11, 12 guys, and they were good. I then later brought on girls, and like all the best athletes in this area started coming to my track team, and people just started going to major colleges and doing things. So I think that's the most rewarding because I was able to help these kids who might not have gone to college, especially the boys, might not have gone to college if not for track and field. You know,
Yeah.
So when you can help in that respect, you got to feel good about it because people who are already in college or doing things and you help them, okay, you're helping them, but they've already accomplished something. I'm trying to give those guys who might not never do anything an opportunity to be successful.
Yeah. Well, Eric, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with Eric Metcalf on Chopping It Up with Buck.
Many people are looking for natural alternatives to help ease their aches and pains. Begin stopping the pain with the help of Pain Stopper. Formulated by healthcare providers, Pain Stopper helps alleviate a variety of physical ailments so you can get back to doing what you love. Our products are triple independently lab tested to ensure the highest quality hemp available. Visit painstopcbd.com for more information. Pain Stopper, because why manage pain when you can stop it?
All right. Woo, this Partagas is really good. I got to talk to you a little bit about the cigar game. I follow you on Twitter, and if you don't, tell people where to follow you on Twitter so they can see what you're smoking or what you're thinking about or what you got in your hand.
Eric Metcalf 21 is real simple, and you know, I got into smoking cigars. You know, it's even crazier that it's gonna blow your mind. When I don't know why, but when I was at the University of Texas, mm-hmm. something about Swisher Sweets I just liked, and I didn't smoke them back then.
Yeah.
I would just hold them in my mouth, and I liked the taste of them. And I'm like, this is kind of cool. I should probably smoke this, but I never did. In college, I didn't smoke, I didn't drink, I didn't do anything. I was trying to, get, and I just love the taste of it. And so obviously someone comes to me from the university and said, you need to stop walking around campus with these sweets in your mouth.
Because they're thinking you smoking a blunt or something. Yeah, I got
it's not a good look, right? And everybody who knew me knew I was on the straight and narrow.
Yeah.
You know, but they just like, it's not a good look. So I stopped, of course. Yeah. But once I got back into the NFL, I got to the NFL, I was like, I can get cigars. I can just got a fun. And I just started smoking them and just started collecting them. I got like cigars that are probably over 30 years old.
Yeah, and I think the thing is, I didn't start smoking until I started playing golf. And I really didn't. I was still a novice. I would have one, that's pretty good. I don't like that. But a guy that I met really told me how to find what you like. And I don't do it a lot, but man, when I sit back here and this COVID has really made it even more so where you got a lot of time to think. That's how this show came up, actually. because I wanted to do something where I could get guys on that I knew we could talk about our lives and what was going on with us. And then when we get through this, we can actually be somewhere in a cigar lounge or in a place, a restaurant where we could have, you know, appetizers and just chop it up. And that, because to me, it's the barbershop, but it's we know what we're talking about.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. And so, you know, I went the first time I got Cubans, I was over in St. Bart's, and I was blown away by the Monte Cristo. I think it's one you're smoking, and maybe another brand. And I was like, man, what is this? Got some more, was able to bring them back. That's when you weren't supposed to bring them back. I was worried somebody was going to take them. And ever since then, I'm like you. I've collected them. I've got, you know, people will send them to you like, hey, try this. It's really cool. And the conversation you have with cats, the people you would never meet, you go in, maybe doing business or just sitting there talking, and the things you can learn and with these sticks, because it takes time. It's not one of those things you're going to rush through.
Right. And, you know, it's crazy that, like you're saying, there's people that go to a cigar lounge and you sit down and you don't know them, but you end up talking to them.
Yeah, yeah.
And because you're there for the course of an hour or two at least, smoking, having a drink or what have you. But then you think about, if I didn't have this cigar sitting next to me, would this guy talk to me somewhere else? Right?
That's true. Yeah.
And I think, especially with this cigar thing, it brings a lot of people together, even who might not ever speak to each other, you know, who might never say hi to each other, might never say anything. But when you're connected, like on Twitter and social media, it gives people an opportunity to connect with people that they would never connect with just because everybody likes the tobacco.
Yeah, it's interesting. You know, I've been doing this since we've been out. Every Saturday, there's a group of guys we get together, and it's been good. Just the fellowship and the learn. And we actually go through and we're writing down different things so guys can learn what they like or what they don't like. Where do you go in Seattle, or where's there a place that is there a spot that's yours that's besides your back porch? I think that's great. You got it covered. Rain in Seattle, you got to have it. But is there certain spots you go to when you're in Seattle that you like to just go unwind?
Yeah, I go to this place called Smoky Joe's, which is at BJ's Casino out in Fife, which is outside of Seattle, almost Tacoma. Because remember, Washington is a smokeless state.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
so the only people who can have cigar lounges and everything like that are Indian reservations, which is all the casinos and all that. So I go to this one and hang out with a bunch of guys, and and I tell people I call it the office. Anybody in my house, if I say I'm going to the office, they know exactly where I'm going there, and it might not be the work you're thinking of, but it's work to me. So I go to the office, and I even got a friend who moved from Seattle to Phoenix, and he's talking about now he's at the Phoenix office.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. I have found guys, especially on a Friday afternoon, if they got late conference calls, they're finishing up the call, and they're in their office and they're working. They got their headphones on, but there's a stick with them going too.
Right.
You know, I want to go back to what you were saying about helping those young men, because it's always interesting to me. You know, you were able to learn. Your dad kind of showed you the way and kind of gave you the guidance to get to the league. What has that been like for you, and how rewarding has it been for those young men to come back and tell you, Coach, if you hadn't have done this, I don't know if I'd even got to school. I don't know where I would be.
That's funny that you said it to me, because this probably a couple months ago, obviously now, because I was out with some friends and my wife. We were just hanging out, having some drinks and everything, and a kid came up to me, and he's like, he was looking, he just kept looking and say, "Coach Eaton?" I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "I'm Lloyd." He was telling me, he was like, "I'm big into real estate, all this," and he said, "You know what? You saved me. I probably wouldn't have never been here if it wasn't for you and that track team." And so that's rewarding me, because, you know, like I said, a lot of these kids, they probably would have never gone to college if not for that track team, because they might not have found the straight and narrow. And then I also think there are times that some guys have talent and they're able to do things, but they don't really respect the guys who are teaching them or coaching them or what have you. And so they don't put everything into it because they're not really listening to the guy who's trying to give them knowledge. Whereas I feel like when I step in and I'm trying to give somebody knowledge or help them out, they know he's done it. He's been there. And so if you can't respect me for what I've done and what I've accomplished, because I've been able to stay on the straight and narrow to get to where I was, then you're just playing silly.
Yeah.
So I just like the fact that I can go in, talk to guys, tell them you have a future in this. It might not work out to the highest level, but get to college. How are you going to go to college if you don't get a scholarship?
Yeah.
And I just like the fact that I was able to play that part.
It's a lot going on in the world right now. George Floyd, the young man in Minneapolis that met his demise, unfortunately. I didn't realize the other day he went to Jack Yates High School, which he was younger than us.
Oh, you tweet that?
Yeah. I did not know that, and he was from Houston, where I'm from. And I've had that conversation with my son, who's now 26, going on 27 tomorrow, actually. But I think the thing is, I don't think people realize the things and the conversations we have to have with young men like you're coaching or family members or people, because you just want them to get home. I mean, that's really all it is. You're saying, hey, do everything you can because you might get stopped. And generally, we have been in those positions. You might get pulled over for this where you've done nothing. But I just want you to get home. Tell us a little bit about that, because I know we were going back and forth on that. And it was so sad to see this young man lose his life like that.
Right. And I'm glad you brought that up about the having the talk, because my son, who's now will be a redshirt sophomore at ASU playing football there.
For Herm and those guys, yeah.
Right. Yeah. He's 6'4.5". He plays receiver. He's 6'4.5". But when he was in high school, London Fletcher and CBS came out there to interview us about this, because they saw this big old story. His team kneeled back when everyone was kneeling with color. They were at Sports Illustrated and all that for kneeling. But a newspaper did an article on me and my son about the talk, right? And I thought it was cool, because what I was saying was that I remember when the talk was about sex, condom, and that kind of stuff. But now the talk is how do you handle it if you're stopped by a police officer? And unfortunately, and it's a little different for my son, and that's why I was really into this, because he was 6'3" in high school. Yeah. And he's young, but he was driving a Dodge Challenger.
Okay.
And so when he gets out the car, or if they tell him to get out the car, and he gets out at 6'3",
he's gonna be towering over those guys. Yeah.
Right. And now, I was fearful, And so so with that in mind, I wouldn't even tint his windows until he got to college. I wanted you to be able to see him, because it's unfortunate that we have to try to protect our sons like this as black men, but we got to do what we got to do to get them through, because and because bad things happen. We just don't want them to happen to us.
Yeah, and you bring up a great point. My great grandfather, in Third Ward in Houston, who he was well known in that Houston area in the Third Ward. My great grandfather, and he would have conversations with me about that. And I remember I was a little kid. Now I'm going to have potentially the same conversation with my son, my daughter, and their kids. And that's the part that just kind of blows me away when you think about it. And I think people that want to know. And when you play in locker rooms, you get close to guys, they understand. They look more than just at our skin. They look at us as like, hey, man, and we do the same with them because we don't know them. But if you understand a dude's heart and understand it, that's where you really, we're able to have conversations. We can disagree on stuff, but come back to, okay, we're still cool. I don't agree with your side of it, but we're cool.
Right. And so, it's crazy that in 2020 that we're having to go through this. You know,
I agree. I agree.
We've come a long way, but yet we've really gone nowhere.
Yeah. Well, and I'm sure your dad has some great stories to tell and things that he's gone through in his life because, you know, he's lived through that.
And played in St. Louis.
Oh, yeah.
And played in St. Louis, so yeah.
Hey, that might be a whole nother chopping it up. But I did want to talk to you about DK Metcalf, who's your cousin, and his dad, Terrence Metcalf, played. And then your son soon to be at that. I mean, it's just, y'all get to the league, huh? If you want to pass to the league and understand, you better come through the Metcalf clan.
So with DK, I'm not sure. We're not sure if we are cousins. I mean, we could be, but it would be probably down the line.
Yeah.
So we don't know. I mean, my grandfather was from Arkansas and they're from Mississippi, so there's a chance, but nobody knows for sure. So I don't just say, oh yeah, he's my cousin.
Well, y'all cousins, man.
You know why we are? Because he's good, so we're gonna claim it.
Hey, and he's right there in Seattle.
Right.
I'm glad to see the success he's having at an early age. You've spent some time with him, right? You guys have had a chance.
I've never spent time with him. I've never even talked to him, to be honest. I've never even talked to him. My son does. My son talks to him and everything, but we've never had an opportunity to get together. I'm hopefully one day we'll be able to and just chop it up as Metcalfs because, you know, there aren't many of us around. So we have someone who's good.
Yeah. Well, what we may need to do is get you, your dad, your son, and DK all on and do a Zoom meeting until we can get together. That would be cool. Just to kind of, just talk about life and everything else.
Right.
Hey, you know, a couple more questions for you. You talked about the kids and doing all that. What has COVID and being at home like we have to be now done to you? What has changed for you?
I don't think anything has really changed, but what I do appreciate is that everybody's at home. All my wife and all our kids are at home, which probably wouldn't happen if not for this, because my son would be down in Tempe training. My oldest daughter, who just finished grad school, well, she's back. Well, she would have been back, but everybody came back and we got together. And then our son's twin sister was going to school here, and so we don't know when we would have been together as a group again. But we've had a lot of time to spend together as a family, you know, eat together like we've never used to do, watch movies and all those kind of things. So that's what I've really enjoyed about it.
Hey, E, we'll take a quick break and we'll be right back with Chopping It Up with Buck.
All right.
How you guys doing? It's Artavis Scott here. The reason why I like Thin Energy is because I need to be at my peak performance no matter what I do. Big sports drink for me, you know, keep it going, keeping myself up. It gets me on top of my game, extra boost that I need to keep it going in the fourth quarter. Working out, definitely a good drink for you to have. All the good nutrition that you need inside of it. Passion fruit, it's my favorite one. It's not just for professional athletes, it's for everyone. And I definitely can say it definitely works in the office or in the weight room, wherever you may be. You can go to thinenergy.com, tell them I sent you, and get you a drink. Thin Energy, the healthy alternative. Drink it, live it. See, if I got something like that, I can just go.
No sugar, no crash. Thin Energy.
All right, we're back with Eric Metcalf on Chopping It Up with Buck. And during the break, we were talking about Cleveland and his love of Cleveland, and it triggered me. I had to ask him about my former college teammate, Eric Turner. May he rest in peace. E.T. died of stomach cancer years ago, but he was a Cleveland Brown, just like Eric. He was a first-round pick. Eric talked, both Erics, but E.T. in particular talked a lot of trash. We played against each other for 4 years in college, but I love that. I love that brother. I miss him every day. We competed hard, but he was just a good dude. Tell me what your thoughts about Eric Turner and what you remember about E.T.
Oh man, first of all, he was a great person. You know, coming from a good family. before we even get to football, which was crazy to me because we hung out all the time, took trips together everywhere. I even still talk to his brother Art all the time.
Yeah, Art played at University of Washington. Right. Know Art from way back as well. I gotta get in touch with Art. I'm glad you said that, man.
So ET and I did a lot of things together, but when I say good person, what the funniest thing to me about him was the fact that he didn't curse.
That's true. Yeah.
But he thought he was tough.
That's true.
And I have to tell you this story.
Okay.
I have to tell you this story because one time we're driving around Cleveland, and it's a Tuesday, so off day. Yeah. We're going to hang out, have lunch, and shop and all that kind of stuff. And somebody cuts him off on the road. And so he's upset. He's upset. And, I mean, how do you have road rage if you don't cuss? And so I hate to say it, but he actually follows the person. They pull up in the cleaners and all that. And he gets out the car, and he's yelling at him. And he's just yelling at him, but there's no curse words coming out.
I can see it.
And I'm laughing. I'm just laughing. I'm like, how tough are you really, man? When you and laughing and looking, he gets in the car and he looked at me and said, I should just had you do it.
That's too funny. Oh, man.
That was my dude, man. He was a great football player, for sure.
Oh.
But like I said,
yeah, I mean,
being a better person is more important to me. And that's what
me, him, and Roman Pfeiffer, Reggie Moore also, but those three, we would go to parties. And when we started dancing, Eric had the loudest finger snap. My wife still talks about that. You could hear him. I'm not lying. You could hear him snap his fingers because he wouldn't drink. He didn't smoke. You know, he was straight. He was. He would joan with you. But, man, when he would start dancing, you could be – it seemed like a mile away you could hear Eric Turner snapping his finger. And we laugh about it to this day because we used to go to those pool parties in L.A. and just hang out and just go all over town. And it was so cool because we competed hard. I mean, I used to try to run him over, and if he got you, he'd catch you slipping. He would tear you up. I thought he had killed Ernest Givens at Houston one time. I thought he hit Ernest so hard he wasn't going to come back.
I remember that.
You remember that?
He could get down. You know, his was it his rookie year? The first year he got to actually play, I think. The year he hurt his hip. And I think I was out because of my shoulder or something. I think I was on IR. But I remember when he first came in, he was running into people. And I just looked at each. One day we're talking, I said, look here, man. If you plan on being here a long time, you need to stop that. You're going to have to pick and choose your battles. You can't run into people like that every single play for 19 years. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
And he was like, okay. Then he started picking and choosing. I'm like, I want you to be around him for a long time.
Yeah.
For a long time, bro.
Well, he was 6'3", 215, ran a 4.3 easy. And when we go play intramural basketball, we ran the court. We were actually pretty good at UCLA. We had a good group of guys. They were all crazy and stupid and just had a great time. It was.
I what I used to call him?
What's that?
Big nose partner.
Hey, Roman used to call them sausages. Oh, I miss that brother because our birthdays were close to each other. He'd call me talking trash, and we always had a good time, man. That's good. I'm glad I thought about that because that was the one thing I didn't have written down. I just wanted to ask you, and it was, I think about guys that we've had that have passed. He was one. Frank Cornish, another one who played. For a number of teams we played in college. Hey, I do what we do here on Chopping It Up every time as we go through the 2-minute drill. So it's just a couple of quick hitting questions. We don't want you to have a punt return touchdown, but we're gonna give you a chance to score. You're gonna score on this game. A 2-minute drill. You gotta put it in. I guess it's Pittsburgh or whoever you don't like, whoever you beat consistently when you were at Cleveland.
Okay.
I got the first one is what was your pregame or in-game ritual when you were playing? What'd you do every single time, or were you superstitious?
First of all, I was very superstitious. It's uniform first. It all dealt with uniform. Had to have the same socks, Had to have the towel folded up the same way. I would cut my towel before every game, like it had to look exactly like I wanted it. There was just, my dad used to tell me, if you look good, you play good. And so,
yes.
So that's all I cared about was looking good first, because I had to be ready for the photos, right? And then I moved the crowd. Yes. Eric D. and Rakim.
Oh, you had to play that, huh?
I had to play that and MC Hammer.
Yeah.
I had to do it, and then we can go from there. Yeah.
I ain't no joke was always good. So you moving the ball down the field pretty easy with that one. You got me right there. What's your favorite movie ever?
I'd have to say Scarface.
Okay.
Scarface.
Tony Montana.
Coming up from nothing.
Yeah.
And becoming the guy, even though it was illegal. I'm still mad at the dude standing on the stairs. I'm still mad at the dude standing on the stairs when they invaded his home, because all he had to do was shoot everybody instead of running up the stairs. And Tony still be alive. We probably have part 2, like The Godfather.
Oh, that's too funny. Who made the best play on you? You talked about Boz in college. Who in the pros got to you that kind of shocked you?
Chuck Cecil.
Woo! Talk about Chuck. Yeah. Played against him in college, man. Woo.
Got me good. I mean,
how did he catch you slipping?
He didn't really. He caught me slipping because we were running a sweep left. I'll never forget it. We were in Cleveland. He was at Green Bay. We were running sweep left, and an interior defensive lineman broke through. Mm-hmm. So to get to the corner, I'm running fast as I can to get from this D lineman who got through there, and it's blocked perfectly. There's the receiver has a guy kicked out, the tight end or tackle has the guy kicked in, but there's one alley, and I'm running full speed because this D lineman's catching me, and Chuck Cecil was coming downhill full speed, but there was only one way for me to go. And wow, never saw him coming. Wow. Fortunately, we were on the Brown sideline.
Oh man.
And so I got up and I was woozing, I'm shaking my head, and I'm about to go back on the field, and K-Mac saw me and grabbed me and said, no. He said, no. So yeah, so Cecil got me.
So we're gonna put you in motion. We're gonna send you on a jet sweep here. We're in the 20-yard line. We're about to score. This is an easy one for a guy from SeaTac and know the area. Great music scene. Who's your favorite artist from the Seattle area?
Well, it's tough because I have
a couple of them. You can give me 2 or 3 of them because they're blocking for you.
I have friends who I grew up with who are like related to Jimi Hendrix, who's arguably one of the greatest.
Yeah.
But I used to hang out with Chris Cornell.
Oh wow.
I like all the time. Because we had a mutual friend, so we used to just hang out. Like my friend owned a car dealership, so we would go to his car dealership. We would just sit up in his office and hang out, like all day during the day. And so I'd have to go Jimi Hendrix and Chris Cornell for sure.
That's the cool thing about Seattle, and of course you score, and we got to talk about this. That music scene is so crazy up there. I went to school at UCLA, but I know. Seattle, you can add somebody else. We got a 2-point play. Let's go for the 2. You got to go for 2.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mix a lot.
Oh yeah, I was just getting ready to say that, but you have to have mix a lot.
And we went to the same boys club and everything growing up, so I can't forget Anthony.
As you're going into the stands to celebrate with the Dog Pound, why is the music scene so strong in Seattle? What is it about it? I mean, you just named some really talented artists, all from different genres. But why is it so dope up in Seattle?
I don't know. I think it's just the way the city is.
Yeah.
Genres don't really matter. Color doesn't really matter. People just it's West Coasters. You know how the West Coast is. People just do their thing and it's carefree living. Yeah. And I think that's what it is. Is people know they can come here and make music, hang out, drink, some smoke.
Yeah, and see, for me, I've never been into that, but that is there. Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah,
it's just I think it's the scene that people just come here and groove together, and people love it. And it's funny because people from Seattle always talk about, I got to move, I got to get out of here. But you talk to someone somewhere else and like, oh, I love Seattle. I'm thinking about moving there, and it happens all the time.
Yeah. Now, I'll say this. I love Seattle. I don't know if I could put up with the rain, but what I tell people all the time from a football perspective, you need to go to see a UW game. That stadium is off the chain. I used to love playing there. And then Seattle, their stadium, the Seahawks, the 12th man, the Quest Field, if you do that in a weekend, because people down south always talk about how tough, how loud the crowds are, this or that. Those two places are the loudest and can be the loudest. And when they're really playing well, it's even more so. They love football up in Seattle.
Now I'm going to shock you. I've never in my life been to a UW football game.
Wow. That's that. Well, it makes sense though. You weren't in. Yeah.
Never. And then I've been to, other than playing against the Seahawks, I've been to 2 Seahawk games in my life.
Wow. Yeah.
One was the very first game they ever played.
In the Kingdom.
Against the St. Louis Cardinals, so I didn't like them from day one.
Yeah, I got you.
Day one. And the other one was just a few years ago. My kids wanted to go when the Browns came.
Okay.
Johnny Manziel was on the team, and so we went to that.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it.
Well, man, hey, it has been so good catching up with you, brother, and we've enjoyed the time. We got to do it again. I think once we're out of this, and I come out your way and you come mine, we'll definitely get a stick.
Oh, for sure.
Something to sip on a little bit, and we'll do it again. We'll chop it up with Buck live. So I appreciate Eric Metcalf. Hey, join us next time, and this is what we do every time we're here, chopping it up with Buck.
Appreciate you, bro.
All right, man. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Mike Gardner, founder of Thin Energy, the wellness energy that delivers each and every time.
In 6 weeks that I've been taking Thin Energy, I feel fantastic.
I lost 7 pounds in the first week.
You just squeeze it in, you take a shot, and you're done.
Get your drinks, get you hype, get you ready.
I feel great.
Jump on, try Thin Energy.
Drink it, live it.
Many people are looking for natural alternatives to help ease their aches and pains. Begin stopping the pain with the help of Pain Stopper. Formulated by healthcare providers, Pain Stopper helps alleviate a variety of physical ailments so you can get back to doing what you love. Our products are triple independently lab tested to ensure the highest quality hemp available. Visit PainStopCBD.com for more information. Pain Stopper, because why manage pain when you can stop it?
At Heslop Wealth Advisors, our goal is to help small businesses develop quality retirement plans for their employees through our Lunch and Learn seminars. We provide lunch and learning tools to help your company succeed and unmatched customer service.